It's not just about light body activation to make you more comfortable. It's to turn us into stargates so we can ramp up this whole ascension process. So we can get things moving and grooving and really take those quantum leaps. And that quantum leaping has been very obvious to me lately. Welcome to Activations with JJ Ascension Message. In today's episode, we'll be talking all about Sirian Starseeds, as well as the experiences many are having with light body activations and upgrades. I know that many of you out there are interested in these topics, and I'm excited to dive in. So let's get started. Greetings, my beautiful soul family. I am thrilled to be with you again for another episode. Here we are at the tail end of September 2023, if you happen to be listening to this right when I publish it. And I can't believe I'm almost about to make the October monthly energy update. It just kind of blows my mind how fast time goes. Now, the interesting thing about October, it has turned into a much more exciting month than I thought it was going to be. Many of you are probably aware that I will be traveling to the UK and I will be doing 3 different offerings there. So I thought my travels were done after I got back from New Zealand, but no, I will be headed over the pond to the UK, and I'm thrilled to be able to meet with so many of my friends from that area of the world. I'll be giving you a few more details about that later, but I do want to drop into these topics because I have a lot to share. So interestingly enough, I actually planned this topic a few weeks ago. I kind of dropped in on what wanted to come through, and I felt drawn to talk about Sirian Starseeds. There's a lot about Sirian Starseeds that I could say. And interestingly enough, just yesterday, one of my friends who's currently in Egypt at Luxor gave me a photo. She texted me a photo of a goddess. And this image of this goddess was like Isis with the star over her head. And I texted my friend back, Star Mother, because that's been on my mind a lot lately. And she said, well, actually, that's another version of Isis. And so I kind of looked up this information. This might not be new to many of you. But of course, we know that Isis is known to be connected to Sirius. And in my channelings, I have received information that she is a Sirian Starseed. And I don't always do this, but this particular time I ended up going to Google because I thought I'd like to get some accurate information. I am by no means an Egyptologist. And so what ended up happening was I did a little Google search, and this is what I found. Sopdet, Sopdet, is the ancient Egyptian name of the star Sirius and its personification as an Egyptian goddess. The image on this website is identical to the image that my friend sent me, which is a 5-pointed star above a goddess that looks like Isis. She has an ankh in her hand. This particular website says, known to the Greeks as Sotis, she was conflated with Isis as a goddess and Anubis as a god, which is really interesting. It actually goes on to talk about how important the star Sirius was for the Egyptians. And then, most of us know, especially since I talked a lot about this with the Sirian Gateway, that there are many other civilizations that were very, very focused on Sirius as the spiritual sun of the universe. Now it gets better. I decided to dig a little bit deeper in the internet, and you have to be creative with your search terminology, but I do work with AI, and I work with the search terminology in my guides, and I say, okay, serve me up what would be beneficial for my listeners to know. And so I found this incredible little website, like a little blog, and there's some really awesome information here where the person who wrote the article actually quotes several channeled works, which is the best way to get information about this, honestly, because if you look at history, so much of it was lost. But essentially, she starts off by talking about Sirius and our starseed connection, which again, I have another episode that was from the Sirian Gateway that I'll leave a link below. You can find out a little bit more, and some of the information in that is here. But it's really fascinating because she quotes someone named Lazaris, and who had a channeled work called the Sirius Connection. And this is what it says. Stars and planets dot your heavens. Many are vortexes where energy enters your universe and where energy leaves your universe. The grandest of these vortexes is Sirius, the vortex of the goddess. 1994 saw two incredible astronomical and celestial occurrences: the Grand Union of Sirius, when Sirius A and Sirius B came as close to each other as they can be, and the repositioning of Pluto, which came into exact alignment with it. Such an event had not occurred in more than 90,000 years and will not reoccur for another 90,000 years. When this rarest of rare alignments took place, the vortex of Sirius opened. Then she quotes Lazarus again and says, "The vortex of the goddess through which all energy enters and leaves your universe, through which all the archetypal energy flows, through which your higher self's energy enters, has opened wide and opened full. When the vortex opened, it filled you with light, a light that will change, grow, transmute, and transform you. Through it flowed the light and love that can allow you to transcend what has been and to create what will be. It is through the gateway represented by the brilliant blue-white star Sirius that all the energy enters your universe, the energy that is your very soul and spirit, the energy of your higher self. This is a time of new birth and of new life. It is a time of the grandest transmutation, the grandest transformation, and yes, of the grandest transcendence that has ever occurred. The goddess is returning, and she brings with her a light that once lit cannot be extinguished." Isn't that beautiful? Ooh, there was so much about that really, really caught my attention, especially when it talked about the archetypal energy, because so much of my work is dealing with archetypes and templates. And so it reminded me that as we're bringing in new soul aspects, as we're doing multidimensional soul integration, which is coming up at the end of the month of October, it really reminds me of that potential stargate, that vortex that's allowing us, let me say that way, that is allowing us to bring through some new archetypes, new templates, or new soul aspects. They're really old but new, right? I would love to continue on because there are a few more nuggets of wisdom in this article, which, by the way, is found on a website called Sounds of Sirius, and that can actually be found, the link to it, down below. The name of the woman who wrote this article and did this research is Leah Scallion, which is important to refer to. I want to make sure to give her some credit here. But again, she is also quoting other channelers, and this is the other portion that I wanted to read. So she quotes author and channel Jennifer Starlight, who wrote a book called Union. She writes, "Sirius is the guardian and the protector of your souls. It is the all-encompassing mother. It is the birth canal, if you choose, of your universe, of your soul's experience into this earthly realm. The star nation grounded its energy on earth plane through your ancient Egyptian civilization." End of quote. Now, we would actually have to add that I truly believe, Lemuria and Atlantis, there was also star connection there. And then later on in the article, there's another person she quotes that I want to just read one more thing, and then we'll shift into our second topic for today. But the person that she is quoting is Solara. She wrote a book called The Starborn, and this book actually supports what the previous quote was mentioning. She says, "As we arrived here from what we shall term beyond the beyond, we chose an individual entry point or midway station which indicated our preferred mode of expression. These stargates could be perceived as separate notes upon a unified scale, or as fingers upon the same hand. Many of them are familiar to us as Sirius, Arcturus, Orion, Antares, Pleiades, Andromeda, Aldebaran, Polaris, etc. Some of us have felt as if these stargates were our homes, although we have long immersed ourselves in their vibratory frequencies, finding great solace in their familiarity, often returning to them between earthly embodiments. They are not our place of origin. They simply represent our gateway to the beyond." End of quote. Now, I have to drop in here because many of you have heard me talk about this, especially when I have person after person coming through in one-on-one sessions and saying, "What's my star family? What's my star family?" Most of you know that I have said there is not one. There is not one. There is one that you were most recently with that will most likely be the one that comes forward for you because that's the one that you're most familiar with right now. Just like this quote said, you could have technically probably been born through different stargates, or aspects of you could have been born through different stargates. And that's my case too, because I believe I have connections to Arcturus. I have connections to Sirius, to the Pleiades. And so many of us are, in our multidimensional expression, connected to several stargates. But I think it's a really good way of helping you understand why you feel drawn to that. Because in the end, we all come from the same source, right? It's just the little track we came on to get here was different for every single one of us. So as we finish up this little topic of Sirian Starseeds, I hope it gives you at least a starting point for better understanding the role and our connection to Sirius, which so many people have. In fact, I do have to drop in and say Sirius B is a water planet. It's very similar to Earth. And whenever I see that Avatar movie, The Way of the Water, it reminds me of Sirius B. The dolphins and whales come from there. And in my recent light language mentorship, the dolphins actually came forward as guides to support the container. And they came forward and they said, we would like to help you for these 5 weeks. And so we invited them in, and they're going to be co-creating with all of the people in my light language mentorship, which was so beautiful. I was surprised because I just kind of set the intention to bring through whichever guides would be most in alignment. And they are the ones who came forward. And they started off by teaching everybody the clicking light language, just that clicking sound. And they were like, okay, bring out your inner child and start clicking. So it was pretty fun. All right, we are going to drop into that second topic of light body activation. But before I do, I just want to mention a couple of quick items. First of all, I have a really exciting container coming up. It is a format that I don't think I've really done before. So I guess I could call it essentially like a mini course, because what will happen is it is 3 hours of content over 2 different days. It'll be on the 6th of October and the 22nd of October. And I'm actually co-creating it with my friend Anna, who also does the Sacred Initiation journey with me. And I think this is a topic that really ties to what we're talking about, because Isis is actually leading out. We channel her, and we channel the Hathors, Green Tara. We also channel White Buffalo Calf Woman and Ascended Masters throughout the content that we create for this one. Let me let you know that there are live virtual gatherings that occur, but there are also several pre-recorded guided meditations and practices that we channel through specifically for this group. The main goal of this container is to help you reconnect with your purpose, to go within, to go to your heart, and to really connect with your true self as a child of creation and with your purpose, the one that you've chosen specifically for this existence. So if that resonates with you, take a look at this offering. I've got the link below. I'm excited because it's a new format I've never done, but it's such a powerful thing to be able to connect with Goddess Isis and all those different goddess energies in this way. So now we're going to shift into that next topic, that second topic. And I just can't believe again that we're at the end of September, because here I am sitting with this last topic and thinking, oh, and then we have, in a few short days, we'll have our October monthly energy update out with more topics and more themes for you. But today, the topic that we're going to close out with is light body activation. Now, I'm just going to tune in and see what wants to come forward here. I've talked about light body activation before, but this topic wanted to come forward again. There's a couple different reasons. One, I know a lot of people are experiencing large amounts of release and calibration, and their body is talking to them. This has come through in so many gatherings, in so many one-on-one sessions, and my guides keep saying, just listen to your body. Just listen. That's it. Whenever you need to, just listen to the body. Don't judge the body. And the body will tell you what it needs. Sometimes it just wants to get your attention because we're not being present. We're not being fully there in the moment. We're not being fully embodied. And part of this ascension process requires that we sit in that presence of embodiment. So number one, as you are receiving these upgrades and you're feeling it, you are absolutely feeling it. I was reading Barbara Marciniak's Bringers of the Dawn, and she was talking about some of that in just the first couple of chapters, all about what our bodies are feeling and how they are able to handle higher frequencies more and more and more. And she wrote this book in, I want to say the late 80s, which is interesting because so much of it still applies. She was way ahead of her time. Now, the other thing that's dropping in just directly as a download right now, that I was not planning on saying, but it's coming. It's coming. It's fresh right out of the oven for you. And that is that it's something I've heard before, but it's something I'm being reminded of. When our light bodies are activated, they become stargates. So these stargates that we are can be movable all around the world. That's why we're going to grid everywhere, because when we go somewhere, and this totally ties into the grid work that I'll be doing in the UK and everywhere I go and everywhere you go. But when your light body is activated to a certain degree, you become a conduit for frequencies and a stargate. So you might become a stargate for Pleiadian frequencies, Arcturian frequencies, just as we were talking about before. Now, it doesn't, like, your soul is from beyond that, but you are definitely attuned and connected to certain star families. And so what will happen is, and by the way, if you have not already seen on my YouTube channel all of my different light body activations, I have several different kinds for different star families. So like Pleiadian, Arcturian, Lyran, I have all kinds of light body activations that my guides had me do. It was like last year. So I'll put the playlist for that down below. At any rate, don't be afraid of doing too many. Like, is that my star family? Am I allowed to do one that's not for myself? Really now, with taking this into context, it allows you to be able to channel through and be a stargate for those frequencies. Does it not? So there's no rules, right? Like, if you're in alignment with source and you want to be a conduit for all kinds of energies to help Gaia, why not do them all, right? Just listen and follow your intuition when you're going to listen to those YouTube videos, and you'll know which ones you need to do and how to pace yourself on how to do it. So anyway, the bottom line is, it's not just about light body activation to make you more comfortable. It's to turn us into stargates so we can ramp up this whole ascension process. So we can get things moving and grooving and really take those quantum leaps. And that quantum leaping has been very obvious to me lately. So here's how I've kind of experienced it over the last few weeks. I feel like we get thrown into a washing machine and it spins us, and we all land in a different side of the wall of the washing machine when it's spinning. And then we all get to the timeline, and then we all have to kind of decide, like, okay, where are we at? We have to reorient ourselves to where we are. And then just when we figure out where we are, it starts to spin again. And that's the quantum leaping my guides were telling me, because I was like, it's so weird. It feels like me and all my friends, when we were at the Lemurian retreat, right, in Hawaii, we were all in sync. We were all in step. And then we left, okay? And we were in the middle. We were honestly in the middle of a timeline switch when we left. I feel like so many of us were like primed for it. And then as soon as we all departed, it was like everybody went every which way and like scattered. And then when we came back together, we weren't there anymore. I was like, we're all on different sides of the washing machine now. Like, the washing machine's spinning us. And some of us were like, I'm not really feeling like a big thing, a big aha moment right now. We gotta wait for this to settle. And I was like, yes. Sometimes you have to get spun up, and then you gotta wait for it to settle before you come back together. And then watch out, because when you come back together again and you take that next actionable step, then it all spins again, and then everybody ends up. And you know what? As this happens, people will come and people will go. I know I'll be co-creating with different people in the future, but that's the way it's meant to be. We are mixing our magic in every which way possible right now, and we are being invited to provide our unique frequencies to different containers. That's why when people work with me for a season, and then that season is over, I don't really mourn that they're working in some other area, because I know that there is a reason and a season for everybody that I work with. So that's my little blurb about light body activation. I even got a download and a reminder with that. So I'm really glad that I sat here to do this, because it reminded me of that. All right, my friends, I just want to let you know that I have 2 incredible gatherings coming up this weekend. So both of them are happening on Saturday, September 30th. If you're listening to this after the fact, do not fear. I have gatherings every weekend, pretty much. But this weekend, what we are going to do is we're having our Remembering Avalon gathering, which, of course, I was just talking about Avalon. I'm excited to see what comes through, because it is my last Remembering Avalon gathering before I go to Avalon. So I think it's going to be really magical. And then we have our Star Mothers gathering. And I have a very special announcement to make at the Star Mothers gathering. So check out the links below. Again, if this is way after the fact, don't worry. I will have other gatherings that you can attend. I even have my all access pass, so you can access all the gatherings every single month. It's a really fun thing. So I'm going to go ahead and close out. My deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for being here to co-create, even as a listener. I feel your energy, I feel your love, and I feel your support. I am so grateful to you. I am sending you so much love and reminding you that I am you and you are me and we are we. Until next time.